On May 24, 1844, Samuel Morse sat in the Supreme Court chamber in Washington, D.C., and tapped out a message that would, change the world. What hath God wrought? Those 4 words, drawn from Numbers 23:23, travelled 40 miles to Baltimore in an instant, transmitted through copper wires by mysterious electrical forces that honestly most people barely understood. Alfred Vail, Morse's assistant, received those same words immediately and transmitted them back to confirm the miracle. For the first time in human history, information had broken free from the constraints of physical travel. A thought could leap across continents faster than the swiftest horse, ship, or locomotive. The age of instant communication had begun, and with it, humanity's understanding of reality itself would be, fundamentally transformed. Four years later, on March 31st, 1848, in a modest farmhouse in Hydesville, New York, 2 teenage sisters named Maggie and Kate Fox claimed they could communicate with the dead through mysterious rapping sounds. Within a decade, their spirit rappings had exploded into a nationwide movement that would eventually count millions of adherents. Americans across the country were sitting in darkened parlours, asking deceased relatives to answer questions by knocking on tables, spelling out messages on talking boards, or speaking through the lips of entranced mediums. What connected these 2 seemingly unrelated events? Everything. Maggie quickly joined the experiment. "Now do just as I do," she said, clapping her hands 4 times. 4 distinct raps responded immediately. The girls began testing their invisible correspondent with increasingly complex requests. It could count to 10, perform simple arithmetic, and identify the ages of everyone present by rapping the correct number of times. The transformation of the Fox sisters, from local curiosities to national phenomena, was largely due to their older sister, Leah Fox Fish, a woman whose entrepreneurial instincts and organizational abilities were as remarkable as her sister's alleged psychic gifts. Leah immediately recognized the commercial potential of what was happening in her family's farmhouse and moved quickly to capitalize on it. Unlike her younger sisters, Leah was a married woman with children and practical responsibilities. She'd been struggling financially since her husband's death and saw in the spirit rappings an unprecedented opportunity to achieve economic independence. More importantly, she understood the broader cultural context that made her sister's abilities valuable. America in 1848 was experiencing unprecedented social upheaval. The Mexican-American War had just ended, the California gold rush was beginning, massive waves of immigration were changing the cultural landscape, and traditional social structures were being challenged by democratic idealism and religious revival movements. In this atmosphere of rapid change and uncertainty, many people were seeking new sources of meaning, guidance and connection. Leah recognized that the spirit rappings offered something that conventional religion couldn't provide: direct, personal, immediate access to supernatural guidance. Instead of requiring faith in abstract doctrines or submission to institutional authority, spiritualism offered experiential proof and individual empowerment. Anyone could potentially become a medium, contact deceased relatives, or receive divine guidance. She moved quickly to professionalize her sister's abilities. Within months of the first rappings, Leah had arranged for public demonstrations in nearby Rochester, New York, then one of the most progressive cities in America. She established a fee structure for private seances, developed marketing materials describing her sister's abilities, and began networking with influential members of Rochester's intellectual and social elite. The Rochester demonstrations were a sensation. The Fox sisters appeared before packed audiences at the Corinthian Hall, demonstrating their ability to communicate with spirits, while hundreds of witnesses observed and participated. Unlike private seances, These public events allowed for extensive testing and verification. Committees of skeptical investigators examined the stage, searched the sisters for hidden devices, and posed their own questions to the alleged spirits. The influence of telegraph technology on spiritualist practices went far beyond general inspiration. It provided specific operational templates that spiritualists adopted almost wholesale. The similarities were so extensive that spirit communication and electromagnetic communication seemed to be variations of the same fundamental process. Operator skills and training. Telegraph operators required extensive training to develop the manual dexterity, auditory discrimination and mental focus necessary for reliable message transmission. They had to learn Morse code, develop rapid keying techniques and master the art of interpreting weak or distorted signals. Similarly, mediums required training to develop the sensitivity, receptivity and interpretive skills necessary for spirit communication. Equipment and infrastructure. Telegraph communication required properly functioning equipment. Batteries, wires, keys and receivers all had to be in good working order for messages to transmit clearly. Spiritualist communication required proper spiritual equipment, the right people, the right atmosphere, the right mental and emotional conditions, signal quality and interference. Telegraph messages could be degraded by atmospheric conditions, electrical interference or equipment problems. Operators learned to distinguish clear signals from background static. Spirit messages could be similarly degraded by psychic interference, emotional turbulence, or inadequate mediumistic development. Network effects and connectivity. The telegraph system became more valuable as more locations joined the network. Each new telegraph office increased the communication possibilities for all other offices. Similarly, the spiritualist movement became more credible as more mediums developed their abilities and more spirit became available for communication. The adoption of telegraphic templates wasn't superficial mimicry. It reflected deeper structural similarities between electromagnetic and psychic communication. Both involved the transmission of information through invisible media using coded signals interpreted by skilled operators. The explosive growth of spiritualism across America and Europe was directly facilitated by the same telegraph networks that had created the conceptual framework for spirit communication. News of successful seances could spread across continents within days, generating demand for similar services in distant cities and creating a feedback loop of publicity and practice that amplified the movement's growth exponentially. Within weeks, news of the Fox sisters spread beyond Hydesville, carried by the very telegraph networks that had made such rapid communication possible. The irony was perfect. The technology that enabled instant transmission of news about spirit communication was the same technology that had prepared people's minds to believe such communication was possible. By 1855, it was estimated that over 2 million Americans, roughly 6% of the total population, considered themselves spiritualists. This represented one of the most rapid religious movements in American history, achieved largely through the combination of telegraphic publicity and spiritualist practice. The international spread of spiritualism followed similar patterns. Telegraph cables connecting America and Europe carried spiritualist news across the Atlantic, generating interest in British and European intellectual circles. The global reach of telegraph networks enabled the first truly international religious movement of the modern era. But there was something else about the Fox sisters, a dark secret that would eventually shake the entire spiritualist movement to its core. As their fame grew and thousands flocked to witness their communications with the dead, questions began to emerge. Were the mysterious rappings genuine contact with the spirit world, or was something far more earthly taking place in that Hydesville farmhouse? The investigation that followed would reveal truths that challenged everything the spiritualist movement believed about itself. To be continued in Part 2, The Science of Spirits, where we'll explore the shocking revelations about the Fox sisters, the scientific investigation of psychic phenomena, and discover how the telegraph age created both the greatest spiritual revolution and the greatest spiritual controversy of the 19th century. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to help feed the algorithm and ensure these important conversations reach others who are ready to question everything they thought they knew about reality. Your engagement doesn't just support the channel, it helps build a community of people willing to explore the deepest questions about technology, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. The spirits that spoke through the Fox sisters' wrapping tables may be long silent, but the conversation they started continues in every comment, every share, every moment of wonder you experience as we uncover the magical foundations of our technological world. Join us. The mystery is just beginning.